Okay, I'm going to be talking about some bits, and I'm going to make mine a little bit more simple. I'm going to explain really how a bit even works, because I think a lot of people are confused about bits because they don't even understand the mechanics of them. So first of all, I have a bit right now which is called a curve bit. There's a difference in a curve bit and a snapple bit, but this is a curve bit, meaning that it has a lot of curve chain pressure. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is, okay, so this from here to here is the shank. And the shank of a bit actually controls the leverage. So like the longer this is, the more leverage you're going to have pulling on the horse's mouth. So remember that from here to here is the shank. And that creates leverage. So if this is shorter, you're going to have less leverage, longer, more leverage. The next thing is from here, where the bit is, like from here to here, is called the purchase. And so the purchase is the shorter this is, the less pull you're going to have from their pole. So the longer that is, the more leverage or pull you're going to have from the top of the bit. So this one's short, so you're not going to have as much pull from the pole. And then this whole thing from here to here is called the cheek. So remember, this is the shank, this is the purchase, and this is the cheek. And so a lot of bits you'll see, like this one has more shank, less purchase, so it's going to have more leverage from the bottom. You'll see some bits that this is more in the middle. I'm going to show one of those here in a second. So just know that. So if you get kind of confused and you're looking at the bit like, oh, how does this bit work? Your shank and your purchase tells you a lot about what happens. The other thing, see, when you pull this, your curb chain gets tighter. So the longer that your shank is, this is going to tighten up more. As for this is, and the other thing about this bit I want to show is that with being a curb bit, meaning a lot of curb pressure, you're going to get more instant. So like the minute you pull, it's going to take a hold of the horse right then. The next thing I'm going to show is a gag bit. So this bit here is a gag bit. And same with it. This is the shank from here to here. This is the purchase. This is the cheek. So look, this one's pretty balanced right here. This is right in the middle. So you're going to get the same amount of pressure on your pole, which is from this, because this is the same length here and here, as you do on your shank. The next thing about this bit is what's called a gag. And so really what a gag bit does is when you first put it on your horse, it's going to sit like this. So your horse's tongue is right here, and it's going to sit like this. Well, then when you pull this is going to rise up in their mouth. And by the time it hits here is when it's going to take a hold of the curb. And so while it's down here, you're not getting a lot of curb pressure. But when you start pulling, then that goes up to the top and then takes a hold. So what a gag bit does is it gives a horse warning. So kind of like I was talking about with the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 step stop. You're giving your horse a warning. Sit down. I said slow down. 2, I said whoa. 3, I said whoa, and you pull and you get a hold of them and I said stop. Similar. That's why a lot of barrel racers like gag bits, because you're actually, when you start pulling on this bit, I'm gonna go ahead and snap the rein so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. That's why we tend to like gag bits. Is we start pulling and it's warning the horse to slow down. And then by the time it hits the top, then the curb takes a hold. So it hits the top of the curb, and then we're just like, we said whoa. So another reason a lot of people like gag bits is when you tend to pick this up, it tends to soften a horse and get them to move a little bit more. And like I said, I think the biggest thing we don't realize with a gag bit is it truly does warn a horse before it takes a hold of it. And it's a lot more forgiving for people that tend to have heavy hands or like to jerk on a horse. A gag bit tends to give a lot more warning and a lot more forgiveness than a curb bit. That's why, back to the curb bit, that's why a lot of like reiners, cutters and things like that, they want to use a curb bit because it gives more instant, immediate, immediate, like I want you to do this now, as opposed to a warning. And then the third bit I want to talk about is, so a lot of people don't understand correction bits. Another thing I like to say is a bit is as heavy as your hands. And I've had horses before that you could put a big old heavy bit on them and they wanted to push more and run off more. And then you put something lighter on them and they actually got lighter. So I think horses are individuals, kind of like people. Just because you went to a heavier bit doesn't necessarily mean that that horse is going to be lighter, because it depends on their personality and it depends on your hands. But people see these bits sometimes and think, oh, they're just terrible, they're stout. Really what this does, which this is the port, right here, this is called the port. And what a port truly does is give tongue relief. So whenever a horse goes to put this in their mouth, their tongue can go up in here and have relief. Where, like with a Snapple mouthpiece, or a 3-piece mouthpiece, this right here lays directly on their tongue. So that's pushing on their tongue and the bars of their mouth all the time. Where with a ported bit, they have a little tongue relief right here. So these aren't always bad. And I've had horses before that actually did really well with a tongue relief type bit like this. I just say this a lot of times. Put different things on your horse. Ride them around for it for a little while. Don't necessarily stick it on the day of your run and then try it and a horse hates it. Because so many times they've got to feel it out. Same with say for instance you buy a new pair of boots. You may try them on in the store and they feel great, and then you wear them for a day and you're like, man, these don't feel as good. Or vice versa. You get a pair of boots, they're a little bit tight, you wear them or ride around or walk around in them, and then they feel a ton better. It's the same with bits. So try different ones, but the biggest thing is just know how they work. So once again, I'll go back to, this is the shank. So this bit having the curved shank, it's going to give a little bit it's not going to be as stout as a straighter shank. So this is the shank, this is the purchase, and this is the whole thing is the cheek. The other thing I want to talk about is, a lot of times like on this bit, I see this a lot at barrel races, so I want to talk about this. This right here is not for your curb chain. So many people, I'll see girls a lot of times at barrel races, they just don't know, they'll have their curb chain here. This actually is not where your curb chain goes. Your curb chain always goes up here on the purchase of the bit. The only reason this here is, say for instance you want to put your reins, let me get a set of reins. So you want to direct pressure to that horse's mouth. So you could stick your reins right here. Or some of it's just sometimes it's also just for looks. But like I say, with this bit, you could have direct pressure to their mouth, so you could put your reins here. So just know that your curb chain does not go here. Because think about it, if your curb chain was here, it would do nothing. Absolutely nothing. And what your curb chain is for, or your curb strap, either way, is whenever you pull, it gets tight. So you pull this, the curb chain goes tight. So if it was here, it would never go tight. It would always stay loose. So that's another thing I want to point on, is your curb chain truly never goes right here. It goes on the purchase of the bit.